the haunted house outside Austin. First, there was this wild reunion with my old pal Tom, who lived about an hour outside Austin, Texas, practically on the way to my place. Can you imagine? I hadn't seen him in forever, and the idea of catching up had me so stoked. He was like, "Yo, come by," and I was all, "Heck yeah, why not?" I punched his address into the GPS an hour and a half, no sweat. Tom and I were super tight back in school, but life pulled us apart after graduation. We'd like each other's posts on social media, but actual talking, that hadn't happened in years. When I pulled up to his house, I was stunned. It looked ancient, like it was trapped in a time warp. Not falling apart, just old, with a gravel driveway that crunched like dry bones under my sneakers. When Tom swung open the door, this musty smell hit me, damp wood mixed with something spooky, like a forgotten cabin in a horror flick. Creepy, right? Tom was his usual warm, goofy self, pulling me into a huge bear hug that felt like coming home. Our friendship was like that, no matter how long it had been. We just clicked. The inside of his place was straight out of the 70s, with shag carpets and retro furniture. Every step on those creaky floorboards let out a groan, like the house was whispering dark secrets. So Texas, so cozy, like stepping into a memory. We plopped down in his living room, swapping stories over drinks. It was barely 5 p.m., but one drink became 2, then 3, and holy cow, I was getting tipsy. The booze made the room feel warm and snug, but this weird heaviness started creeping in. Time dragged on, hours blurring together. We were laughing like old times when Tom hit me with the question I knew was coming. "Dude," he said, "it's a long drive back. Why don't you crash here tonight?" I hesitated, should I stay in this creepy place? But he was right. I couldn't drive like this. "All right, deal," I said, pushing down the uneasy knot in my gut. Tom led me to the guest room, and I tried to settle in, but my head was spinning, not just from the drinks, but from this growing sense of dread. My body felt heavy, like fear and liquor were mixing into a bad vibe. I scanned the room, my eyes locking on a dark corner where I swore something moved. Was I losing it? Nothing was there, just an empty closet door staring back like it was hiding something. I couldn't shake it. I bolted out of bed, heart pounding like a drum, and sprinted to Tom's room. He was chuckling, totally clueless about the panic gripping me. Shaking him awake was like rousing a bear. He'd had way too much to drink. When he finally opened his eyes, they were wide with confusion. "There's a body," I stammered, my voice shaking. "In the guest room closet." He rubbed his eyes, mumbling, "What body?" A pale body, lying by the closet door. It looked so real. I was wide awake now, my pulse racing like crazy. Tom sat up, looking more alert but totally baffled. "Dude, I don't have any bodies in there," he said, laughing like it was a joke. Was he messing with me? His face turned serious though, and my stomach dropped. "Let's check it out," I insisted, dragging him to the guest room. I pointed right at the spot. It was there, I said, my voice trembling. He stared, asking, "You sure you didn't dream it?" But I knew what I saw. I woke up, saw it, then woke up again, and it was gone. We stood in that empty room, the air thick with tension, like the house was holding its breath. Tom sighed, suggesting we search the whole place. We checked every room, every closet, nothing. No trace of anything weird, no hint of what I'd seen. My mind was racing. Was it all in my head? Tom tried to convince me it was a vivid dream, probably the booze playing tricks. I wanted to believe him God. I didn't want to think about the alternative. I wanted to believe him God. I didn't want to think about the alternative. When morning came, I grabbed my stuff, mumbled a goodbye, and hit the road, my heart still pounding. I felt bad leaving Tom alone in that creepy house, but I had to get out. Back in Louisiana, my mind kept replaying that moment, the way that figure seemed to stare at me from the corner, vanishing by dawn. Was Tom pulling a prank? He's never admitted to anything, so I doubt it. Or maybe, just maybe, someone was in that house, watching me sleep, slipping away before sunrise. So creepy, right? The terrifying beach camping trip. Then there was this other time when I was 18, on this epic road trip with my family and my best friend Anna in South Korea. Can you imagine driving 8 hours? We were headed to a beach to camp, but huge mistake, we hadn't booked a spot. When we hit the coastal city, we planned to hit the beach the next day, so we needed a place to crash. As we unloaded our gear, Dad was frantically searching for nearby campsites. He found one that seemed perfect, but plot twist. It was fully booked because of a massive football game. We called everywhere, but no luck. Every campsite near the beach was packed. What were we supposed to do? Our only option was to find a sneaky spot to camp. We set the GPS for the nearest beach area, hoping to avoid trouble. Finally, we found a spot right in the heart of the beach district. A few people were around, so we asked if it was safe. A woman strolling by swore it was fine, no restrictions. So we decided to set up camp, but something in my gut screamed, "Get closer to the main beach." Why didn't I listen? As we got out of the car, I noticed this super creepy van parked nearby. It looked abandoned, like it'd been there forever, with no one inside. So weird, right? It was already evening, and the empty vibe felt off, but I brushed it aside. We set up camp, my parents in one tent, Anna and I in another nearby. Pitching those tents was a total nightmare, but we finally got it done. Anna and I settled in, watching YouTube and munching on snacks, trying to relax. By 11 p.m., we knew we had to sleep to avoid being zombies the next day. Around midnight, we crawled into our sleeping bags. My family was already snoring in their tent. Anna and I were scrolling through TikTok when, bam, we heard this rustling, like keys jingling outside. What the heck was that? We froze, whispering, "Did you hear that?" Too scared to peek out, we stayed dead quiet, listening. The noise came from the direction of that creepy van. Then we heard what sounded like keys in a lock, followed by the creak of a tent flap. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought it had burst. We sat there, silent, hearts racing like crazy. Then the van's engine roared to life. A friend texted me, warning that this beach was notorious for sketchy stuff. People had reported weird activity nearby. Are you serious? We had no clue. That text sent ice through my veins. About 10 minutes of eerie silence passed after the van left. Anna and I were just starting to breathe again when, holy crap, the most blood-curdling scream tore through the woods. We were paralyzed, totally freaked out. I texted my mom, frantically telling her about the scream. No reply. I called her, desperate to wake her. She finally answered, all groggy, saying she hadn't heard anything, and it was probably no big deal. No big deal? How could she say that? Who screams like that in the middle of nowhere? Anna and I hid under our blankets, shaking, not knowing what was going on. Every second dragged like an eternity. Even as dawn crept in, we were too scared to sleep. Then I heard footsteps. Someone was circling our tent, moving with no purpose. My blood turned to ice. Anna and I lay frozen, trembling like leaves. I dimmed my phone so the light wouldn't give us away. Why was someone out there at this hour? The footsteps moved from our tent to my parents', then around that creepy van. They stopped, like the person was staring right at us. My heart stopped. Silence, until the van's engine roared again. The quiet was deafening as it drove off. Peeking through a tiny gap in the tent, I saw the van's door slam, shut before it sped away. Relief crashed over me, but I was still shaking. I saw it head down the road, and 5 minutes later, a police car zoomed by in the same direction. What was happening? Thankfully, nothing else went down that night. Anna and I, still freaked, moved to the car to feel safer. I couldn't sleep until 5 a.m., keeping watch while Anna passed out next to me. By 9 a.m., I spilled everything to my mom. She admitted she'd heard footsteps too, and get this, she'd heard heavy breathing, like something out of a horror movie. She was terrified, but hadn't said anything. My parents slept through most of it, so we had to fill them in. None of us wanted to stay in that car a second longer. We just wanted out. We managed to hit the beach the next day, but later I looked up the area. What I found made my heart stop. Weeks before, someone had been murdered in a carjacking nearby, and 2 others had vanished without a trace. Can you even imagine? What if that person circling our tent was a predator, scoping us out? I still think about that night, who let out that scream, and why. It haunts me to this day. The voice in the night. Then there was this time when I was just 6, sharing a room with my big brother Keith, who was 8. We had a strict 8:30 p.m. bedtime. Dad was super tough back then. If he caught us awake, we were in big trouble. I don't remember if it was a school night, but I woke up early one morning when Keith shook me awake. "What's going on?" I mumbled, rubbing my sleepy eyes. He whispered, "Shh, be quiet and listen." I did, and I heard it, Dad's voice calling us from downstairs, but it was soft, almost giggling. So weird, right? I started to get up to answer, but Keith grabbed my arm. "I don't think that's Dad," he said. I rolled my eyes like, "Stop scaring me." Dad was always hard on him, so I thought he was just messing around. But Keith made me listen closer, so I crept to the door. Our room was upstairs, with a small hallway leading to the stairs and another room where Dad sometimes slept. As I got closer, the voice was clearer. "James, Keith, Mikey." It sounded like Dad. I told Keith, but he was dead serious. "It's not him." As a brave little 6-year-old, I cracked open the door to listen better. Then the voice stopped. I told Keith. Dad must have left, but he said again, "It's not Dad." I kept telling him to hush. He was freaking me out. I locked the door to be safe and peeked through the keyhole. Clear as day, under the staircase, I saw a figure, a girl. My heart stopped. It definitely wasn't Dad. She saw me and said, "Hey, little one, come down." Oh my gosh. I slammed the door, locked it, ran back to our room, and locked that door too. I started bawling, and Keith kept saying, "I told you." We decided to scream our heads off at 3 a.m. to wake Dad, so we did stomping and yelling like maniacs. Dad stormed upstairs, banging on the door, mad as heck at first. But when he saw us crying, he knew we were terrified. Mom was worried too, saying she hadn't been downstairs or calling us. She asked what the girl looked like, but we couldn't describe her. Dad went downstairs, probably to check for her. Later, Mom made us lock the doors. That was my first real taste of fear. I was too young to dig deeper, but it felt like Dad knew who it might have been. We saw a car outside from our window, but stayed put. We begged Dad to tell us who it was, but he always said he didn't know. He was proud we didn't go downstairs, though. Honestly, I think Dad knew something. To protect us, he never spilled the beans. The last time I brought it up at a family party, he brushed it off like it was nothing. But that doesn't explain how he seemed to know who it was. So creepy, right? The Nighttime Stalker. The last story happened when I was 16, still in high school, with no car. I either got rides from Dad or walked if it was close. One weekend, my friend Haley invited me to hang with friends. Dad dropped me off at her place, a 3-minute drive or 20-minute walk. Haley loved going out and said I could walk home if she left early. A few girls, Tina, Courtney, and Belle, were there, and we were having a blast until some boys from school crashed the party. One of them was a guy I had major beef with, total drama. Haley thought it'd be hilarious to invite him, hoping we'd patch things up. No way, not happening. There were 4 boys and 5 of us, and I was done. I bounced. I'm sure others started leaving too since it was late. I was pissed at Haley and told her so as I headed home. She kept apologizing, begging me to come back. I said sorry for snapping, but just wanted to get home. About 5 minutes into my walk, I stopped. Were those footsteps behind me? I froze and realized they weren't mine. I turned, and there was this young guy in a hoodie, hands in his pockets, grinning like a creep. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah, I'm fine," I said, picking up my pace. It was a busy area, so it didn't seem that weird, even if it was late. But 5 minutes later, I glanced back. He was still there, matching my steps. My stomach churned. I had to make several turns to get home, and he was still following me. I texted my friends for help. The guy said, "Nice night, huh? I like this sky." I mumbled, "Yeah," trying to stay cool. I sped up, not wanting to look like I was running. He kept talking, and each word made my skin crawl. Why was he following me? "You from around here?" he asked. "No," I snapped, keeping it short. He laughed, super creepy. I was frantically texting friends for a ride. Of all people, the guy I was avoiding, Brandon, offered to pick me up. Then the guy behind me said something that froze my soul. "I'm not gonna hurt you. You go to the high school, right?" I turned, and he stopped, his grin turning downright sinister. I forced a laugh, said, "Leave me alone," and ran like my life depended on it. I heard him chasing me. I was running for my life, screaming for help, praying someone would hear. He yelled, "Shut up, kid." My screams must have spooked him. He didn't want a crowd. He vanished into the dark. His house lights flicked on. A neighbor came out, and I told them I'd almost been attacked. I waited in front of their house until Brandon showed up. He drove me home, just a 1-minute drive. Mom wasn't home and wasn't answering texts, so I asked Brandon to stay. I didn't care that he wasn't my favorite. I didn't want to be alone. We were upstairs in my room, talking about old times, when we heard footsteps circling the house. Then the front door creaked open. Mom never used that door. Something was wrong. I texted Mom again, and Brandon and I peeked out the window. We didn't hear anything else, waiting to see someone. Then a voice said, "I see you up there." I ducked, heart pounding like crazy. Brandon yelled, "Get out, you creep." That's when it hit me. This guy knew where I lived. Did he know I was at Haley's? Brandon called 911, staying calm for me. I'm so grateful he was there. The police showed up, and their presence was like a warm blanket. Giving them a description felt like closure. Mom came home soon after, as freaked out as I was. The cops patrolled for a few hours, which helped. I haven't walked anywhere at night since. Mom had my uncle install a security system, and he wasn't afraid to confront anyone sketchy. Thankfully, that's where it ends. That scare also made Mom sell the house a year later. She didn't want me living in fear. We never found out who that guy was. Can you imagine how terrifying that was? Craving true horror stories that chill your bones? Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for the scariest stories in the world. Share your creepy park story in the comments below.